Welcome to Real Estate Pro Tips and Strategies. The theme is how to buy a home or sell a home in a changing real estate market. Hi, my name is Pete Sabine, and I'm here with my team partner, Leslie Whitney. We are real estate professionals with Compass and the 5-star real estate team here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We want to share with you our real estate expertise to give you a competitive edge and provide insight with useful information so you can make an informed decision for your next home purchase. Leslie and I break down the most important aspects of real estate. Future podcasts will reveal how to navigate as a home buyer or seller. Let's begin our podcast.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Real Estate Pro Tips and Strategies. I'm Leslie Whitney. I'm here with Pete Sabine. The topic today is the advantages of professional property management. Owning rental property can be a powerful investment strategy to build wealth and provide passive income with significant income tax benefits.
Being a landlord requires effort and dedication. Tenant-landlord laws are complex and constantly changing. If you live far away from your rental property or have other personal commitments, hiring a property management company can be a good option. A professional property manager can relieve you of the burden and hassle of managing your income investment properties. This ensures timely payment of rent, proper maintenance of the home, and fewer problems during the tenancy period.
Today we have a guest. With us is Joe Stokley. Joe is the broker owner of Stokley Properties in San Francisco Bay Area, city of Pleasant Hill. Joe, how did you get involved with property management?
Well, thanks for having me on your show today. It was an accident. If you ask any property manager, any broker that started a property management company, nobody I've come across with said, ever since I was a kid, I wanted to get into property management. Nobody ever says that. So we started our business back in 2009, and coincidentally enough, like so many other property management companies that I've met over the years, that was during the recession. And my wife and I owned rental properties ourselves, managing our own properties, and we were like out of work at that time. We're like, okay, what are we going to do here? And what are we good at? What did we think we were good at? And we had a pretty good handle. We believed, and I keep saying what we thought we were and believed was in property management, because managing your own rental properties and then working with the public, managing theirs, totally day and night. So, we did a pretty good job having our own properties, but when we said, hey, let's start this as a professional business and offer our services to the public, there was just a lot to learn. What we know today and what we didn't know then, it's like a world of difference. So, so we accidentally got into the business, and but I'm glad we did, because it's been a really rewarding business. It's a really interesting industry.
How long has it been?
We started Stokley Properties, Inc. back in 2009. So 11 years.
Okay.
Wow, time goes by fast.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
I thought, well, it was like 5 years ago. Yeah. No, it's almost 10.
Yeah, it's amazing. The time flies. Because we started off with zero. We started off with zero properties. My wife and I, Sheila, she's my business partner, and we started off in our garage, like Hewlett Packard or Disney or Apple. And but we just weren't in our garage. We had a little office set up there. But so anyway, that's what we started off, just the two of us, and we've grown the business, and we're managing over 700 properties now. And now we work in a real office building.
Great.
And which makes a big difference than working out of our house.
Great.
Yeah, so that's great. I think you have a unique advantage. Would you agree that a lot of property management companies are small, like mom and pop organizations? There's a lot of those, and some may not have what I call skin in the game with their own portfolio of properties. Mm-hmm. But you're different in that you came into the business with your own portfolio, and you had that background as being a property owner. And so I think that helps somebody in your business be able to see and feel what it's like to own properties, as opposed to just, it being a concept and never having that experience.
I think it's really important when you hit it right on the head there with that, as far as I like to be able to honestly empathize with people, to say, I feel your pain, or I know what you're like, what you're going through, because over the years, we've experienced a lot of different things when it comes to being a landlord. So I do believe that's a benefit to our clients, that we honestly can say, hey, we have rental properties and we had this experience or this happened to us one time or whatever. I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody that owns a property management company. And if they don't own investment property themselves, they might be just really great managers of other people's property. But I believe that we have an edge, or we just bring extra knowledge to the table that we also own investment properties ourselves.
And you still do, right?
Yeah. We still do. Still very active in the real estate investment world. It's changing. I think, and maybe you'll hit on this later, but I think probably now moving forward more than ever, having a professional property management company could be necessary for your average person. Earlier you were talking about like mom and pop property management companies. So in the time that we started our business, it's really changed a lot. I like to think when I got involved in the business, I revolutionized. No, I'm kidding.
Everything gets more complicated whenever you're in the picture.
Right. When I'm here, it gets super goofy and weird. So, no, it's just that during this 10 years, the industry has really evolved and it's become more professional. Technology's played a huge role within it. There's so many really helpful, super productive technology tools that have been designed that really play well for property management, like really change the whole atmosphere of the industry for its benefit. So a lot of people, companies, and it doesn't matter if you're small or big, if you have 100 properties or 1,000 properties, whatever it is, the industry has definitely changed a lot than it was like 10 years ago. And I think technology has made that happen a lot.
Right. Same as in real estate in general.
Exactly. But there are some people that are still, in the 1970s. I'm sure there's some realtors like that. But if you're going to be competitive, if you're going to be out there and put yourself out there in the world like we are as a service, we want to grow. We want to expand our business. I'm not happy just staying where we're at. So if you have that mentality, you have to change with the times. You have to have the up-to-date type of tools to, to provide to your customers, to help them manage their properties, rent their properties, and do a good job for them. If you don't do that, if you are resistant to change, I think it's just extremely difficult for somebody to compete.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what locations do you cover in the Bay Area?
So our office is located at the Stokley Tower, as I call it, where we have an office in downtown Pleasant Hill at 2300 Contra Costa Boulevard. And what we like to do is we take that office as the center of the universe and we go a half an hour radius outside of that. So anything that it takes about a 30-minute car ride from our office is the area that we cover. So, we're not going to San Jose. We're not going to Sacramento. It's just too far of a trip to go back and forth. So the greater Contra Costa County area, I would say, a lot of the East Bay, but for sure Contra Costa. Yeah. So your cities of, Pleasant Hill, Walnut Creek, we go out to Antioch, Orinda, all the way down to, Danville, San Ramon area down there. So, there's a lot of property. Yeah. And a lot of different property management companies that work in that area. So there's plenty to keep you busy.
30 minutes doesn't sound far, but that's a ton of...
In the Bay Area, that's a lot of...
Yeah, well, I try to, what we try to do is like, hey, if we got to show a property or meet an owner there or meet a vendor, whatever, we don't want to be tied up on the road all day for one property. So if we keep them close by, we're just more efficient that way.
Right. Okay. So describe to us, what's a typical day or a week like for a property manager?
So I'm not a property manager. Right. Okay. We own a property management company. A typical day we have 4 licensed property managers that work with us, and they've been Jill, who's worked with us for 10 years. So she's a real pro, really knows the business very well, and all of our people are all pros. But you have to have a real estate license to practice property management because you're dealing with contracts, you're dealing with negotiations, you're talking terms, you're talking money. So you have to have a real estate license to do that. And the typical day would be, showing properties, properties that we have available, though we do that electronically as well too. So we have a self-showing service. I can talk about that later too. But screening people, fielding phone calls. Our number one priority is to communicate with our owners. Without our owners, our clients, we wouldn't be in business. So that is a must. That if you have 10 phone calls you got to make, the first call you got to make is to your owner. Get back to them, answer their questions, let them know what's going on. Dealing with the residents if they have any issues, dealing with our vendors. So it's a fast-paced day. It's not the same old. There's always something different.
And you are the person that the tenant calls, right? If anything arises, not you personally.
Oh, they call me. Everybody calls me if they want to talk to me. I'm there. But yeah, so what we do primarily, what we're offering to our clients is we are, like I say, the PG&E for these houses. So if the resident who's living at the house has an issue, it doesn't always have to be a problem, but if they have a problem or whatever, they're contacting us. We're the buffer between the renter and the owner. Most owners, for whatever their reasons, they don't want to be troubled with the issues of the property. That's what they have us for. So if the people living there,
like a dog barking. A neighbor's dog is barking.
Yeah, a neighbor's dog. Yeah, I mean, that's a great one. Like a neighbor's dog's barking. Yeah. Like, call the police. I mean, it's like we only have so much power, but it's a trip. How many people call us thinking that we have those type of powers, And I'm always like, it'd be nice if you went over and knocked on the door and introduced yourself and said, can you have you probably don't know this, but your dog's barking like all day long when you're gone at work. Like, do that first, before we have to escalate it. But, I mean, really, it's everything, really, all kinds of stuff. But we are there to service our client. So anything that takes place with the home. So typically the resident calls, hey, my dishwasher doesn't work. It's old. You're right. It's 30 years old. Let's see if we can get you a new one. And we'll call the owner and say, hey, it's time for a new dishwasher. We can handle all that for you. You don't have to run down to Sears and pick it up. We'll do the whole 9 yards. So
that's nice. It's
great.
That's worth a lot, especially if the owner is elsewhere.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We have people, I want to say it's like Stokley Global. Not that we're working on, not that we have properties around the world, but we have people that own properties that are living around the whole world. So people live in different countries, different continents, but even people live down the street. They might as well be in another part of the world. They just don't want to deal with it.
Right.
So I think it's very helpful.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be the most important qualifications for a property manager?
Well, I think you have to be a good communicator. Yeah, and you have to have good time management. You don't have to know, I think, coming into the business, whatever you know about real estate or the rental market, that is helpful. But you can be an expert in that and have cruddy communication skills and cruddy time management skills, and you're going to sink. The people that are efficient at it and then do really well with it, they have really good time management skills. You got to multitask. You got lots of things going on, and you got to be a good communicator. You got to communicate with people. Properties that we pick up, if we have potential clients calling and saying, hey, I'm looking for a new property management company. I'm not happy with the one I'm with. The first question is like, why are you leaving? And it's typically not because, the renters vandalized my property. I mean, that doesn't ever happen. That's very rare. Or they're not collecting rent. It's because of bad communication. Right. I've called my agent or I call my property manager and they never call me back. Right. And I'm always asking questions. And it's fair for somebody to go like, what else don't I know what's going on? Like is there other problems I'm unaware of? So that's typically the reason. Poor communication.
Customer service too, basically.
Yep.
Good customer service.
That's all part of it. Yeah. The good customer service is good communication. So that's what I think is really important. I can take somebody that has those skills and teach them the industry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I agree with you. I've had out-of-state rental properties, and every one of them, after I bought them, I turned over to professional property management services for a lot of reasons. I'm not there. I'm not close. I can't take care of things quickly when things go wrong, and they do. But when you trust your properties to an outsider, if you don't have the communication, you're completely in the dark.
Yep.
I mean, you can't do a drive-by to see what's going on. It's just,
you're totally relying
yeah.
on them for everything. Hey, you call me, send pictures, send me an email. Yeah, you're totally at their mercy.
Right. It's almost like a lifeline to your property, basically. And it really is important to have that.
And also the fact that they're in charge of collecting rent. And I know we'll talk about that later, but, you know, who's holding on to that money and where is it and what's the risk there? There might, maybe not, hopefully, but there could be a risk to that money.
Well, there is, and we'll touch on this later, but you mentioned that in California, you need a license to be part of your team, to deal with contracts and all of that. There are places in our country where a license isn't required. And I own property in one particular state, and I can tell you some horror stories where in an unlicensed, unregulated area like the state of Idaho.
Wait a minute, you weren't going to mention that state.
But I did.
Is that part of the United States?
I think they seceded after the election. But I had a bad experience with the property manager who decided that, it's time to retire. And because I'm holding all of these security deposits for the property owners, I'm going to send a letter saying that in 3 weeks we're done. I'll send you your last rent check, but your account's going to be short by the coincidental amount of your security deposit. So I discovered the hard way, calling the authority saying, hey, what's going on? I went to the Department of Real Estate. They said, sorry, they're unregulated. We can't do anything about it. You can file a lawsuit if you want, but that costs money. My point is that there are some areas where it is unregulated. California is a heavily regulated state, as you well know. To do business here for any reason, everything's regulated, in some cases over-regulated. And there are some consumer protectionisms that are good for people, and the fact that you should be licensed or have to be licensed, I think, is a plus.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think it helps give more credibility to the industry. You have to study to pass an exam, and they just don't hand them out to everybody. And you have to have ongoing education. So no, and there's a higher authority to report to. There's the Department of Real Estate. I mean, everybody that works with us, they're not doing it as a hobby. I mean, that's their livelihood. Right. And if they were to ever lose their license for some reason, or if I were to lose mine, I mean, that would be catastrophic. I mean, that would be over. So anytime over the years I've had people wanting to try to game the system or whatever, hey, can you do this for me? I have no problem looking in the eye and say, no, I'm not going to do that. I go, that's a violation. And sorry, you're not worth me losing my license over. Okay, like bam, right then and there. So because that's the authority that the commissioner and the Department of Real Estate has. There's all kinds of cruddy things they can do to make your life miserable.
Right.
Exactly.
Similar to real estate. So on that note, NARPM is that National Association of Property Management.
Oh, the National Association of Residential Property. Residential Property.
NARPM.
Yeah, NARPM.
NARPM. And why does belonging to NARPM benefit a property owner?
Well, so the property owner benefits having the property manager being a member of it, because when Sheila and I started our business, 10 years ago, a fellow property manager introduced themselves to us and said, oh, you should join NARPM. And NARPM's not like a household word, like I never heard of it.
Me either.
And so I'm like, oh, what's that? So anyway, we're really glad we did. We got heavily involved in it. So we joined our Alameda Contra Costa chapter, and both my wife and I at different times, we served on the board. I was their president. And what's great is I think it's the best of the property management companies that join that. There's no law or rule that you have to join this organization. But I think the people who do so to be good at what they're doing. I mean, if you're going to do it good. And we've learned more probably from the NARPM organization how to run a successful property management business than anything else. The members are super giving, super helpful, all good people. And so we know and work with, I think, the best companies in the East Bay that are members that practice good business practices. And so the reason I would tell somebody to join is if you want to make your business better, if you want to be like the best you can at your business, learn the do's and don'ts, that's a no-brainer. You have to join it.
So this is for a property owner who's managing their own property.
No. That's a good question.
Well, because,
NARPM, no, if you own your own property, no, you have to, you own a property management company. So you're like me, a broker owner that's managing other people's properties.
Right.
There's other organizations for individual property owners that want to get that type of help, and one of them is called the AOA, the Apartment Owners Association, and I can talk about that later. But NARPM is strictly for is membership of property management companies.
So it's like a realtor that's licensed that belongs to the California Association of Realtors or the National Association of Realtors. Along with that goes with it a higher standard of care, ethics, all of those things, the training, the education, all of those resources that we benefit from as realtors. It's kind of the same idea with property managers.
And it's exactly like that. And it's all real estate. It's just that we're in the property management zone, and real estate realtors are in the buying and selling of properties. What's interesting is what you said there is there's as much information out there as you're willing to want to learn or take advantage of. So there's some people that belong to NARPM or the Association of Realtors, and they don't participate in the conventions or go to the meetings or read the emails. So you're going to get less out of it. You can be a member, but if you don't take a little bit of time to study or get involved, you're only going to learn so much. So I don't want to say we're fanatical and went to every little thing, but we've gone to they have the California Convention, which is super helpful. They have classes, and so just not going to these different conventions and going to the breakout sessions, the classroom. They might be talking about different things, but what I got just as much information out of is just meeting and talking with other fellow broker owners in different parts of the state. Like because what's really great is like, hey, how did you do this? Or so you from listening to other people's experiences can avoid making mistakes, avoid going down those paths, going like, hey, those three guys tried that. That didn't work very well. We're not going to try it. We're not going to try to do something that doesn't work. But these guys did that, or meeting really helpful vendors, just everything. So getting involved in those type of network groups has been really beneficial to us.
Okay. Got it.
So how do you provide ongoing and timely communication with your property owners?
Well, let's see. We do several things. I mean, I just don't do one thing, but we do I try to do monthly video newsletters, updates. They might not always come out every month, but monthly, bi-monthly. People, the people like the videos. Plus, I'm so good looking; they just stuff. But they rather than read, they can watch and listen, and you keep them short. And but like for instance, the last one I did was before the election. We were talking about Proposition 21, and I was telling people, hey, this is to your detriment or your benefit. Vote no on this. Vote yes on this. Because there's like 3 propositions on the ballot that directly affected real estate owners' pocketbooks. And it was really cool. All the responses I got back, I got several, 3, whatever, how many hundreds of people opened that up and hey, thank you. That's great information. I don't assume that just because they own properties, they know that vote no on Proposition 21. They might have thought, no, voting yes is good. No, it's bad.
Got confusing a little bit.
Of course. Yeah. So I was there to help them, to guide them in the right direction. So we do that, we do, they're really constantly being touched all the time, depending on if something happens with the property, the doorbell breaks, there's a work order. They're always being informed of what's going on. So it's not like they only hear from us when they get the rent check every month. There's other things going on. So we're constantly, they're always reminded that we're there working for them or doing something for them. But as far as a proactive, outreach to let them know, like, hey, because no one's going to toot your horn as much. You got to toot your own horn. You got to remind them how wonderful you are. So when we do the newsletters, we're letting them know what we're doing. What other things we're doing, reminding them, like, because I like it. This is a fun job. I like talking with people, and if people are like, oh, collecting, I can find my own renter and collect my own rent. I go, yeah, that's easy. I said, anybody. I mean, I downplay. I go, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
That's easy. I go, the hard part is when other things happen. That's what you don't know.
Right.
So collecting rents is not a problem. If that was a problem for us, I wouldn't want to do this business because that would give you brain damage. So by the 5th of the month, every month, we collect 97% of all of our rents.
Mm-hmm.
Done, over. Shouldn't be a problem. Finding good tenants for the properties is not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But things like what we like to do to remind people is we help people stay out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Like things that can cost you money. So like, hey, you really got to fix that, whatever, rain gutter, or, you got to have the right insurance or whatever,
right.
To things you don't think about. So
right.
That's what I think, what our true value is.
Okay. Yeah. And what is Appfolio and how does that benefit the property owner and tenants?
The Appfolio is a software system. It's specifically been developed just for property management industry. So it's not like QuickBooks where you use that for whatever you want. So Appfolio has been around probably for 10 or 15 years. When we first started our business, we used some, I don't even know what it was called, but some cruddy software system. And Sheila, my business partner, she at one of these conventions went popping around looking at like, there's got to be something better. And that's when and there's lots of different software systems out there, but Appfolio, that checked all the boxes for us as far as what we needed to do. And what you do is you run your entire company through Appfolio. Everything goes in and out of Appfolio.
Accounting,
everything,
all that stuff. Advertising,
accounting. It's like a giant file cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the whole database. It's everything with the company, and it's in the cloud. So it's not like it's always being evolved.
Right.
It's always growing. So they've kept up with the times. But I think that's probably one of the, if not the best property management software system. And it's super user-friendly. So everybody is on it. Stokley Properties is on it. Our vendors are on it. The renters are on it as far as doing work orders. They have a portal to pay their rent. So it's everybody's using it at different. We have the keys to everything.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have access to everything that we have.
Right.
But everybody, for their own specific needs, is using Appfolio.
So renters and property owners each.
Yes. Awesome. Property owners are they can receive their payments from that. They can make contributions if, whatever, we're doing some renovation on our house, they can pay through Appfolio. Right. They have their whole history of everything on the property. So they don't have to call us. They can if they want, but they can call us or just go to Appfolio and the whole history of everything's there.
That's great.
And so for the tenant, and you call them residents.
I like, I mean, a tenant kind of sounds like chimney sweepers in old London, like in the 17th century. So, a renter or a tenant just sounds not as...
like a second-class citizen.
Totally, yeah. And they're super important. And so they're residents. They're residing in these properties.
Yeah, that's a good name.
And, I just think it shows a little bit more respect.
Mm-hmm. I think so.
Yeah.
And what's nice about that is that the resident can log on, and if something's broken, they can just send a message, right? And it gets to you, and you respond, and they can pay their rent through there, right? So, I mean, it's really good for everybody: the property owner, property manager, the resident. Everybody wins.
Well, going back to like technology, these different companies, different people. The property management industry has really been a great place for people with these ideas to implement this technology, because it works on so many different areas, and it's really made the business easier. But what's happened is made it more efficient. So maybe if you were a property manager 20 or 30 years ago, you by yourself could only handle probably like 100 properties. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you're done. There's just no more time in the day.
Right.
But if you utilize, it's out there. And if you don't use it, it's not helping. But if you utilize the technology the proper way, you can double, triple your productivity. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. So, so that's what we're doing. We lean very heavily on like the Appfolios or the Rentleys. That's our self-showing system. And, whatever things that make sense out there, we utilize it, and it makes a big difference. Mm-hmm. But just not for us, but also for our owners and for the people that live in the properties.
Right. Mm-hmm. So this goes into the next question. So how do you provide reporting for property owner accounting? So that comes through Appfolio.
Yep.
But part of that too is also, as a property owner, it's an investment, right? And your investment, you need to measure its performance. So the accounting part of it can help somebody determine whether or not you've got a positive or a negative investment in your portfolio, right? Through all the accounting.
Oh, absolutely. We get monthly reports as well as a year-end report that it's like you can take that to your CPA. So it's all broken out, expenses, it's like a P&L on the whole property. So because it's a business, these rental houses, they're businesses. So that's the way we like to run it. And that's the part that makes it fun for me personally, is helping people improve their performance or build their portfolio. So it's you got all that there, and they got to be paying attention to that, or they shouldn't be in the game, So most of the people, we're pretty over the years have kind of fine-tuned our client. We're not there for everybody. We're not the property manager for everybody and fix every problem. That's not what I want to do. And I would say all of our clients, all of their properties are positive cash flowing. I can't help people that are, that shouldn't be property investors. If they don't have money to fix a problem or take care of things that need to be attended to, I can't help them. That's not my client.
Right.
Because people are living in these houses, and it starts off with, hey, that type of owner, if they have the same values that we have, it's great. But if you don't have that, then the whole relation, there's not going to be much of a relationship, because they're probably not going to, if they don't take care of their property, repair things that need to be repaired, fix things up that need to be fixed up. If they don't do that, and we were to take somebody on like that, like a client, what kind of property do we have to market? Right. Probably not a very nice property. And whoever would want to move in and live in that property is probably not going to be an ideal resident. And that's just problems, just on every level.
And there is a market for that probably. There's other people who might be willing to do something like that.
There's people that can do that. A long time ago, I'm like, that's not who I am. That's not who I want to represent. But also, I think by having higher standards, we avoid a lot of those type of that brain damage, because that wears on you. That's no fun.
Right. And so as a tenant, there's nothing worse than coming home to a house that's falling apart, because you're powerless. It says right in your agreement, you can't fix anything without permission. And even if you knew how, and even if you wanted to, and even if you want to spend your own money on someone else's house, technically you can't.
Right.
So unless that landlord is willing and able to fix it, everything's falling apart around you, yet you're expected to pay full rent while the house is falling apart. Yeah. And so you have to wait till your lease is up and then you move, and that's it's not good for anybody.
No, and the property management is in the middle of that. So they're the ones feeling those.
So if that ever happens, and not to say we never had any problems ever, but if you ever had a situation like that, you make it real clear to the owner what their responsibility is, and why we ever got hooked up together. And not this hasn't happened, or if it's happened, it's very frequent. But if some property owner did not do what they're supposed to do or refused to do these things, I would have to say, I can't help you anymore. I'm done. Because with NARPM, they have a standards or ethics, and to the residents, to be professional. So, and I'm sure I've had to do this, and call up the people that live in the house and say, I'm sorry, I had to fire our client. I don't know what to tell you to do, but I want to let you know we're out. They didn't do this, and I'm sorry, and blah blah blah, whatever. It doesn't happen very often. But if that were to happen, you're real clear with the owner what their responsibility is. Okay, you got to fix this. It's not like kick the can down the road, because what happens is, remember the owners hired us so they don't have to interact with the people living there. So the residents don't have their phone number. They're calling us.
Right. That's what I mean.
We're in the middle. So if something's broken and we're waiting for the owner to give us an approval to fix it, the whole time, every day, twice a day, you got the people, hey, the air conditioner or the heater or whatever. But we don't have those problems, because I think we do a really good job communicating.
Yeah, and setting expectations.
We have very low expectations, so we never
get disappointed.
No, so yeah, exactly. But that's kind of how we handle things.
Okay. And so on that note, what types of properties do you manage? I mean, single family, apartments, and then...
We manage all those. The majority of the properties that we manage are single family homes. I would say, 70-75% of all the properties are houses. But we also have a fair amount of, condos and townhouses. We manage a few large apartment buildings, like 40-unit buildings, 22-unit buildings, a few of those. They're a whole different product than a single-family home. Yeah. So just based on circumstances and things laying on our lap, that's how we came into managing those properties. But again, they're really good owners. Responsible owners take being a landlord seriously, so we get along really well with them. They're bigger jobs to handle, but if you have a good owner and take care of the property, and it works out pretty well.
Okay.
So how do you manage properties that are controlled by a homeowners association or an HOA?
Yeah. Most HOAs are fine to work with, and so the homeowners association is like the people that might live there in the neighborhood and stuff. But the management company, the HOA management company, is who we really want to have the best relationships with. And there's not too many of them out there. There's a few companies that manage lots of HOAs. So we know pretty much all of them or a lot of them. And we have a good relationship with them. There's really no issues as long as people abide by the rules, that the CC&Rs, and we don't have problems with people playing their music too loud or whatever violations they're having. But what causes a problem is if it's a maintenance issue, like a broken pipe, the unit above, is leaking water onto your unit, or your unit's the one leaking water on the one below. So that gets very cumbersome. Lots of phone calls, lots of, coordinating who's responsible for what. Fortunately, again, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it can be no fun.
It's an added layer, basically.
I'd prefer not to work with HOAs. I'd also prefer not to work with home warranties. I don't know if you have that question down there, but some homeowners say, "Hey, I got a home warranty. Do you work with them?" And we're like, I just tell them, I go, a home warranty for your own home is great because you're living there and you're dealing directly with the home warranty insurance company. But the property manager, we're like a third party. And if there's a problem, we have no control over the home warranty and who they're sending out. That's their contract.
And how soon they get there.
Just everything. Right. Okay. And then so what happens is the resident again suffers. All right. So the homeowner might think like, oh, I only have to pay a $65 deductible and I'm getting this thing cheap. I'm like, yeah, but it's a major hassle for everybody. So I'm, home warranty companies, I think they got a ways to go to improve their customer service. But we prefer not to work with them. We can do a better job with our own maintenance people. I
see the home warranty benefit to a property owner for big ticket things that go out unexpectedly.
Yeah.
Like the air conditioner, something like that's $5,000. But for hose bibs and, leaky toilets and things that are what I call nickel and dime, I think they're more hassle than they're worth.
They are. And you made me just think of something. Maybe that'll be a new policy we have. Like, yeah, that's great to have that. If the HVAC system goes out or whatever they're covered, a big appliance, that's great. But little doohickey things, just say, hey, we're not doing that. We can get
a carve out.
But the thing is, the maintenance repair area of the business is the most cumbersome. Everything else, if we never had a maintenance issue, it would be great. So that's what there's no two the same. And it's lots of, again, phone calls and coordinating and blah, blah, blah. That's the thing that makes it not a lot of fun if you have a major issue, like a sore lateral breaks. It's never a good day for that to happen.
No.
And,
especially Christmas Eve.
Just, all that stuff. So, but that's just, we try the best we can to avoid those things and preventative maintenance and check those things out. And,
So as a question in your lease agreement that you use, is there like a dollar amount that the property owner agrees up front that if it's $500 or less, we're just going to get it fixed,
Yes.
and then you're going to send the bill. So there's no back and forth. Well, I want you to get that part for $3 cheaper, or whatever it is.
No, we
Okay.
don't. And no, not to be arrogant or anything like that with people, but like, no. Because it's just not. I like to tell people we're a for-profit business, all right, and you want me to be profitable because you want me to be there for you, So. Yeah, there's no of that hangling back and forth. Like, I can get a guy that can do it for $10. I'm like, I don't know anybody can do it for that price. So we don't have that problem. We really don't have that issue. If I did have somebody like that, we probably wouldn't have him as a client.
I think it gets back to what you said earlier, is that you have standards about who you want as a client.
Yeah.
And, if they're worried about the last nickel, they're not the right client for you. And the people that have the wherewithal and willing to let you manage their properties for them, that's what you want.
That's we don't need somebody as a client to tell us how to run our business. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, all due respect, I'm just like, it's probably not a good fit,
Yeah.
But yeah, to answer your question, Pete, we do have a pre-approved $500 limit.
Okay.
And like I tell people, I wish we never had to deal with this maintenance stuff. It's not like a profit center,
Right?
But it's just something that comes with the territory. With people living in these houses, things break. And if we find that they're responsible, if little Johnny threw an army man toy down the toilet and cost $300 plumber, then they'll pay for it,
Yeah.
But if something's just old and it wears out, then that's just part of the game, being a landlord. So anything over $500, then we'll reach out to them and say, hey, the hot water heater went out and we can have somebody there this afternoon to replace it. But anything $500 or below that, we just automatically got their approval to take care of it. And they know exactly when things are happening because we sent them an email with the work order. So we don't give everybody a phone call, but they do see an email. So they see it in real time when things are happening. And
that's important.
Yeah. So if they're like, they can see that and go, wait a minute, I just replaced that garbage disposal myself a year ago. What's the problem? Well, we don't know. We haven't been there yet or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we try as much as possible to have the residents help us out. These cell phones are really handy. Take pictures, send us pictures, so we get a good idea and we can send that to the contractor and maybe they can troubleshoot it and fix the problem over the telephone whenever happen to go out there. So over time, we learn how to do these things to be more efficient and save our owners money,
right?
And have less inconvenience for the people living at the houses, but mostly less inconvenience for me. Okay?
That's important. Yeah.
Okay, next question is, do you offer properties for rent that are vacant or occupied? I imagine it depends.
No, we only like to deal with vacant properties. They're vacant. So we like to, when the people move out, we like to get in there and if they need paint or get them all cleaned up or whatever, have them ready to go for the next people. So when people come and look at properties, they're not like 30 days before they move into them. Usually people are ready, like when you approve them, they're ready to move in like this weekend or next week. And we don't want to be like, well, we're still working on this, so give us we don't want that. So we want them turnkey, ready to go.
Okay.
So, and also because of our self-showing service, people can go look at a property anytime they want between like 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And that doesn't work very well if someone's living in the property. So.
Right.
So anyway, so they're all vacant.
Okay.
Yeah. So the next question is, how do you provide access to the property for the prospective tenants to view? And you mentioned something earlier called Rently. Why don't you tell us more about how that works? Yeah,
Rently, I really do believe, I don't want to call it the future because it's been the present for several years now. But I do believe more and more property management companies and realtors will be using this system. So, it's been probably 4 or 5 years we've been using Rently, and the way that works is you go to the website and there's a code that you can use your smartphone, and you go to the property and you get a code that opens up a lockbox, and I think it costs 99 cents to get this code, and that 99 cents goes to the Rently company. It doesn't go to us, but it's the cost of maintaining the lockboxes and the whole organization. So pretty cool business model, because if you had 1 million lock boxes, across the country and everybody's paying $1, that's $1 million. So pretty cool. Because you look at one lot, but 99 cents, what kind of money are you making off of that?
I didn't think it was a money making.
Oh, I'm sure it's a moneymaker.
I thought it was to verify their identity.
It is. But that all costs money, right? Mm-hmm. So this 99, and I don't know that end of the business, but so we lease these boxes. You can buy them or lease them, and they're like $30 a month. You hang them on the property, and we've never had any problems with this. When we first started this program, owners would be concerned. Even our own employees were concerned. Well, what if somebody gets in there and vandalizes the place or steals something? I'm like, they're not going to go through Rently. They're going to grab a rock and break a window. I mean, like, why were they going to go through the trouble? So with that, you get this code, and you have to take a picture of yourself. You have to give your driver's license number. You have to give a credit card number. There's a lot of security there. And like I said, we haven't had any problems with it. So you pass that, you get a code to the prospect who's looking at renting the house, and push these buttons, the door opens up, you get a key, you go. Mm-hmm. What's cool about it is I think you're opening up to more of the public the opportunity to look at this house, and helps it rent it quicker. Because if you're dependent on calling Pete and saying, "Hey Pete, this is how we used to do it. Hey, look, I want to look at that house, and my lunch break is tomorrow at 1:00. Well, I got another appointment.
Yeah.
Well, what about 5? Well, I'm at my kid's baseball. It's like all this back and forth. Hey, go whenever you want.
Yeah.
Go whenever you want between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And really, people like that better because they don't have like the used car salesman following around.
Right. Yeah. They don't need you to help them fall in love with the house to rent it.
Yeah. They go, this is great.
Yeah.
So that is one of those pieces of technology that for us really revolutionized our business. It made us more efficient. It took Jill, who was a leasing agent at the time, out of running all around, and I think no fault of hers, but not being as efficient or as effective as she could be. And now she's a property manager and has more like a 9-to-5 job 5 days a week. Before she was all over the map.
Right. Especially in the Bay Area with the traffic and everything. It can be really complicated.
It can be complicated, but the worst thing is you could tell people like, hey, you can text people, okay, I'm coming to the property. You're going to be there? Because believe it or not, you have appointments and people don't show up. Yeah. What a waste of time. Now, if people don't show up, who cares? There's nobody there waiting for them. So it's really the Rently system, and there's other programs like Rently. But I think that it's a really great tool to help your clients rent their properties quicker because more people can see it at a time that's convenient for them. And it helps more people see it, and it helps rent properties quicker.
Thank you for listening to Part 1, The Advantages of Professional Property Management. Stay tuned for next week's episode, Part 2, where we continue our conversation with Joe Stokley. Thank you for joining us for this podcast. We hope you enjoy our real estate pro tips and strategies, and we encourage you to share our podcast with anyone you know who is looking to buy or sell a home. Be sure to like and subscribe, and if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to ring the bell next to the subscribe button so you won't miss a single episode. Thank you to our producer, Sam Lubman with Painless Podcasts, for making this podcast happen. I'm Leslie Whitney with Pete Sabine, and we are the 5-Star Real Estate Team.
Join us for our next episode of Real Estate Pro Tips and Strategies. Call or text 925-297-5335 to reach us with your questions and referrals, or send an email to info@5starrealestatepro.com.